Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Sisters of Legacy. We are gonna run our intro, and we'll be right back. All right, people, here we are yet again this Thursday. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Samantha Walker. To my left is Shanetta McNair, and directly below us is Katrina Taylor.
Good evening.
Hey, Lisa, thanks for sharing. Thanks for joining us. So, we are the Sisters of Legacy. We come on every Thursday at 8 p.m. So, here we are. This week, our title probably looks a little confusing when you're trying to read it, but it's Who or What Drives or Influences You? You can kind of take this topic in so many different directions. So, this topic became a thing for me because over these last several weeks, I have been thinking about this heavily in my own personal life. Like, why am I doing this? Who am I doing this for? Why should I keep doing this? Or why I shouldn't keep doing different things. So I felt like, what's the best place to talk about it? And of course, it was here with my lovely sisters. Shanetta is always the optimist. She's going to have all these great, optimistic things to say. And Trina, of course, is going to give us all those wonderful looks. But see, and there she goes. So we're on this week, and we're going to talk about it. So I came up with this topic a couple of weeks ago, but I have been struggling with this for the last several weeks. And then this week also happens to be the U.S. Open, and with Serena on there and her supposed retirement, this being her last round of matches and all of that. And I felt like, wow, this is like a really great topic to fall right on this day. So we're going to talk about it. The good, the bad, the ugly. We're going to share it all tonight. Shanetta's going to start off because she looks like she's ready.
So who or what influences or drives me? I would have to say for a lot of years, and even still to an extent, my family, my kids, basically trying to make sure that they had all the things that they needed, that they had more than enough, that they had the resources and the access that they needed. That kind of was the drive. That was the reason that we did all the things we did. Interesting story is when we ran the daycare center, I specifically named the daycare center the Reasons Early Learning Center. And every time someone asks, why would you, name it that? Well, every parent gets up for a reason and they go to work for a reason. And we were there during that time to take care of their little reasons as they went about their day. But that was inspired because, like, when my kids were coming up, they were that driving force. They were that thing that pushed me even when I just didn't feel like it, when I didn't really want to do all the things. I knew, okay, I can't quit my job today because they need shoes. They play in Little League. We got to eat, and my husband and I shared the expense of the household. So, I can't quit, so I got to get up. This is what's driving me. Currently, with them being older, like, they still have needs and requirements from us, especially the youngest two that's still in college. They stay in our pockets. But there are some mornings where, like, when how you getting up in the morning and, like, I'm not really like an early morning person. unless I want to be. For the most part, like I'm just kind of like, okay, how much do I need this job today? Like, let me calculate. Like, do I want to get out of my bed? No, maybe. I'm not sure. But I get up every day. But that's like the drive. Like, you got things to take care of. You got people depending on you. You have things that have to be done that don't get done unless you get up and do the things. So that's kind of one of those things that drives me. That's pretty much where my drive lies, like knowing that like I'm needed, knowing that there are things that have to get done by me.
Gotcha. Okay. Trina?
Well, everything that Shanetta said, of course. But I think one of the things that drives me kind of not to quit and to keep going is what I'm trying to accomplish and what feeling I'm trying to get to. And I'm trying to express it. I feel like I'm trying to get to a place where I'm not stressed,
Okay.
where I feel free, where I don't have stuff on my back, all the stuff. So I'm trying to get to a place where those things are minimal, and so that's kind of what drives me to maybe get to a place where I can have the least amount of stress, the least amount of deadlines and stuff like that, So that's the driving force. Also, just that feeling of accomplishment when you get stuff done and you feel like, whew, check that off my list, just that feeling of, oh, I got it done. I accomplished my goal. Even if it's like small things that get you to the big one, the small things that you check off, that's a driving force to accomplish some things. When I was looking at this topic, I came across this saying, and I'll just kind of read it. It says, diamonds are formed under pressure. Bread dough rises when you let it rest. Boiling water softens potatoes but harden eggs. And it's what motivates you may be crippling to others. So it's just to say that different things motivates different people. And I found out that to be true. I was working at this firm and they wanted to, increase, everybody's productivity. So they had all the, when we did our billing, when the attorneys did the billing for the week, they started posting like how much each attorney, extra money they brought in during the week. And I was like, okay, you go ahead and post. You think I'm going to do extra work over and above my stress level because you posting something? No, that did nothing for me. Like competition, and it does nothing for me. But some people like, oh yeah, they're gonna post it, and now my name is gonna be at the top. Child, my name was consistently at the bottom. My thing was like, listen, I got all my work done. I'm not doing nothing extra. Post it, don't post it, whatever. So maybe it works for some people, competition or, having their name out works for some people. And it did nothing for me. And there was a couple of attorneys was like, this is stupid. I'm not doing this. So again, some things motivate some people and does nothing for others.
Right.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, Shanetta, so you were saying that there's some things that if you don't get them done, if you don't do them, they won't get done. Like, so how does that ever feel like too much pressure?
I think it just kind of depends on the area, but my personality type is kind of like where I know that there is a particular way that I might want something to be accomplished or I may want it to be done. And if I ask Mr. McNair to handle it, he's not gonna do it the way I would do it anyway. So it's no point in me asking him to do it. I may as well just go ahead and get it done. No offense to him, because like he does it his way. I do it my way. He's gonna be perfectly happy and smiling with his way. And I'm gonna be looking at him like, okay. And now let me, so instead of like that time, like it's, so I don't call it, I guess, too much pressure. Now there are moments where I'm just like, I don't have to do that. I can pull away from this. I can back away from that. But if there are certain things that are just mine to do, then I kind of take that responsibility. And sometimes they, can be pushed off to the side, and sometimes those things can't. So when my kids were small, there were just some mommy things. And it's like, you want a day off. We all talk about, the dream mommy vacation type thing where, I just don't have to do all the things. But we all know the reality of you can take your mommy vacation if you so choose. But when you come back, all the things that you were supposed to do are going to be sitting at the door waiting on you, because nobody else is probably going to get all that stuff done. The school project that you let dad work on with those kids is going to go back to school looking like, and you're going to be like, how did my kid get a C? My kid should have had an A. Like, you got to sit there with them and do the things. There are just things that are just yours to do. And yeah, you just got to get them done.
All right. And Trina, do you ever have those moments where you're like, you know what? Yeah, no. Like those no moments, like that. There's no drive. There's no, how do you get on the other side of those moments?
I think when I'm just like there, I either just give myself grace, knowing that for the most part, I'm going to push myself to do what I need to do, so that when I'm actually feeling like, I really just, sometimes I just give myself the grace to say, I mean, I guess like when we talk about self-care, like that's kind of self-care when sometimes you just like, I can't do this today, and then you get back on it the next day or the next week or whenever sometimes you have to, I mean, it's like, cooking dinner. Sometimes, listen, we're having waffles on tonight. We'll have breakfast for dinner, or pull out your bowl of cereal for tonight. Mommy's not cooking. And you like, I used to feel bad, like, I'm supposed to cook all the time. I was just like, listen, the stomach don't know what time of day it is. Cereal for dinner is fine.
I think when I felt okay with the cereal for dinner idea or the breakfast for dinner ideas, is when my sister used to be a social worker, and she would tell us periodically about different things that she heard judges say in family court. And this, I guess, attorney just knew that they were about to like slam this parent, with the whole, she let the kids eat cereal for dinner. And the judge was like, so? And she was like, is it food? Like, did the kids eat? Like, they're fine. They ate cereal for dinner. They didn't die from cereal. Like, tell me when she's not feeding them at all. And I was like, I don't think I have to feel bad about that anymore. Like, eat cereal. You'll be fine. Or, whatever. Like, whatever makes your heart happy. Go find something in that kitchen and eat it. You want to eat fruit snacks for dinner? I don't care.
Choose your battles, right?
So I mentioned the U.S. Open, and there was like a snippet of, it's like kind of after she won, and the lady was asking her, she asked her something like, do you feel like I don't know what she asked her, something like, do you feel like you're greater or something? And she looks at her and she said, I'm just Serena. Like, this is just kind of what I do. Do you guys feel like that? Do you feel like, my drive and stuff is just a part of what I do? I shake it off. I keep going. Is that like kind of how you feel?
Yeah, I would have to say yes to that. Like, it's just what you do. It's just who you are. And you get to, along the way, along the path of life, you get to build what your path will look like or won't look like. And while mine doesn't look like yours, while my family life, my career path or whatever may not look like somebody else's, it's just mine. And it's okay if it looks different. Like, I think a lot of times, especially when we're younger, people are like, oh, you got to pick a successful career. You got to pick a career that's going to make you a lot of money. You got to, you got to go to college. You got to do this. And we push kids along a particular path, and it may not even be what makes them happy. And you have to learn how to let people figure out who they want to be and what their path will look like. And it doesn't have to look like everybody else's.
Right.
Gotcha. Trina, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that. You do what you have to do, and it's not always, I don't like to say it's who you are, but it's more like what you do, what you have to do. I guess it kind of turns into who you are. I don't know. But you have to do sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
And you make it work.
Yeah.
So what like if you had to give so do you think like there could be, like, I know, lately that the common, slogans is like going after the bag or get the bag or whatever with the bag that they're chasing. do you feel like you're, even if your focus is negative, that you can still kind of come out with a positive outcome, if that makes any sense?
I think that you sometimes we have moments and we have seasons that are not always the way we mapped it out, the way we planned it to be. And that's okay when we have those moments and we have those seasons. And sometimes you have to redirect where your path is taking you and what you want out of it. A particular time for and I've redirected. I can't even say it. Redirect, reset, restart. I don't know what you can call it, whatever you want to call it. But the influence, the drive, sometimes it has changed that causes the redirecting, and sometimes it doesn't change, but you realize that the way you were going doesn't help you to reach the goal. It doesn't give you enough momentum to get to where you're trying to get to. So, like, for instance, when we when my kids were younger, I did the stay-at-home mom thing, and that was cool for that time because any money that I would have made would have been paying for childcare for all the kids, right?
Yeah.
So it was really, I can't say no point in me working, but that wasn't my purpose in that moment. So my drive at that time in life was to be a mom that was present and at home for the kids while they were small. But there came a shift when the baby was about, I guess he was maybe 2. The shift was, okay, now you got to change the drive, because it was like, we could afford for me to continue to stay home, but what kind of life are we affording with me staying home, right? So the drive was, but we want a different life. We want something else. Like, this is nice, but we really want something else. So the drive shifted, and it was like, okay, now, boom, we want a bigger house. We want to be able to put the kids in sports and not have to depend on community scholarships to pay for it all the time. We want to be able to pay for, trips and take the kids places. That means that we need more income. So I have to go work now. So the drive and the influence still centered around our family life, right? But the influence was a little bit different because we needed more money to make this family life look different. And then there was another shift where it was just kind of like, okay, you've been working for someone else. Let's see if you can try this thing, with running your own business. Now, what I learned was that financially, I didn't like that shift. So another shift was made, so your drive and your influence changes as you grow and as you stretch and as you become who you are. And I think every rough season helps us to, like, there's something in it that we're getting from it. There's something that's stretching us, and it's something that's helping us to get to that next place and that next level.
So, Sam, the way you pose the question, do you feel like when people say they're chasing a bag, you feel like that's a negative thing?
No, not necessarily. Like, okay, so most of the time when I see it, it's always like under some very ghetto fabulous, like the whole whatever is just super like ghetto.
Right.
Oh, so that always is a turnoff for me. I don't think going after money is a bad thing. I think when you don't care how you get it,
Right.
is for me when it becomes, a bad thing. Because like that's why I've seen a clip of something and it was like two girls. They were on, was it they were like on some radio show or whatever. And she was saying, like, oh, in the past, some guy paid off her student loans. Yeah, and I still didn't get with him. And then some other guy put a down payment on my car, and then I got rid of him. But I kept the car and I kept the money, and then had the next guy pay the car off. Like, she's like, we don't turn down the gifts. You don't turn down the money. Like, and I was just like, like, so like when it comes to things like that, that kind of, that becomes bothersome for me. Or like, a parent and you're like, well, yeah, my kid is with my mom. She taking care of him because I had to get the bag. Like, like that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of, yeah. So I think it's just in the way that I've seen it the most. Of course, wonderful social media, like as, but like, it's one of them social media terms. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely think we have to learn how to find our own motivations that are separate from what the world presents to us. The world presents some real, I guess, like chasing the bag basically, can be, I guess it can have a good and bad connotation, when you think about it. But is that really what it's about? Like, is that really what the goal is? Is that really what's driving you? Or is it something more? Is it having a particular lifestyle? Is it being comfortable? Is it having security? Because I think there's a difference in feeling a sense of security and a sense of being able to provide for, yourself and whomever, may be attached to you versus status in, the world and how other people view you. For me, I don't really care how other people view me per se. I wanted, like, there was a certain, like, it wasn't about, oh, I need to have, this so that I look good to other people. It was like, oh, I need to have this so that I feel like my kids can go outside and play and be safe. And like, I don't worry about whether or not, something terrible is going to happen when they're in the yard.
Right.
And not that it couldn't still, but it's like, it's certain places we don't want to live. It's certain things we don't want our kids to be a part of. So we work, to make money to provide a different kind of lifestyle. And I think it's all in perspective of why is that your drive? Why is that your influence? Because the perspective that you take from that is what causes you to go forward in those things.
Okay. And so like, so for somebody that may have, I don't know, gotten off track, lost their drive, Trina, how would you, I guess, kind of encourage them to get back on the horse or get started again or to find it?
I mean, I guess you have to look at like your reason, like why are you doing what you're doing? Like kind of get back to the basics. like it's like Shanetta was saying, like, are you trying to get money to get a new car so that you can have a flashy, shiny new BMW, or do you need a car that's reliable, that's going to get you back and forth? Do you want a car that's going to not set you on the side of the road? I mean, like, what's your motivation? So it's like you have to be realistic. Like, okay, I need a car, but do I have to get a BMW? Do I have to have, a Tesla so it could drive me, or can I just drive myself in a nice, Honda? You know what I'm saying? You can be, be realistic about what you need and what you really need and what you can do where you're at. And because sometimes it's discouraging when you're trying hard and you're not getting here, but if you're doing okay, then that's encouragement to keep going. Maybe you can put off the buying of the BMW while you drive your Honda. It's okay. You're driving.
Right.
Okay.
I think falling and failing is a part of some of our processes. Like, it's some things that, like, it's some things you need to fall. You're supposed to fall, because in the fall there's a lesson. In the lack of I guess drive, or feeling that low drive, there's a lesson. Whether it's, okay, now's the time for me to stop what I'm doing because it's not even working, reevaluate, reset, restart, or it's just a lesson that I need to gather so that I have that experience that I'm able to apply it when it's time. There are things that I think we all go through in life that are just lows, that are hard and heavy. And in those moments, I think it's important to stop and ask yourself, what can I do with this? How is this useful in my life? I can name a good number of people that I've seen, like, they're like, I want better. I want more. I want my life to turn around. Okay. What have you learned that you can take with you and use to start creating that turn? Sorry. What can I take to kind of create the turn? What can I take to help motivate me to get to the next place, to the next spot? Because I think we do have lows, and then sometimes we just plateau. It's like you've been going, and now I'm here for a while, and it feels like you're in a low place, but you're really not. You've just kind of plateaued where you are, and it's time to start building to the next level, to where we're going next. And I think it's okay to give yourself grace, like Trina said earlier, giving yourself that grace. I didn't learn that till I was much older. And it was just kind of like being able to be okay with everything not going the way that I mapped it out. Because I've been a planner and a mapper of things since I was young. Like, I was probably that kid that kind of probably had the whole everything mapped out for the whole summer. Like, oh, on day 1 of the summer, I'm going to read this book. On day 2 of the summer, I'm going to do this activity. Then I'm going to do this. Like, so as far back as I can remember, I was organized. Barbie dolls in a row, knew where they all were, all the things, right? All the Barbie's outfits all set. On Monday, I'm putting Barbie in this outfit. On Tuesday, Barbie is wearing this outfit. My mama was a little OCD too, so like that probably added to my issues as a child. But nonetheless, when things started not going the way that I mapped and not going the way that I planned, those were heavy moments for me. Those were kind of like hard moments where it was like, okay, what am I supposed to do? My plan didn't work. How do I get through this? My plan didn't work. And then it was like, then I would be hard on myself. Oh my God, you didn't plan it right. Oh my God, you're so stupid. Like, you just did not do this the right way. Like, and it's like you put all that on yourself instead of saying to yourself, it's okay. That plan didn't work. Why didn't it work? Let me look at that. Okay, now let me do something different. I don't think I learned that till I got much, much older. And by then, like, I missed a lot of opportunities to have grace on myself. I missed a lot of opportunities to have grace on myself. So I think it's important that we take it easy on our own hearts, on our own souls, because I think we push ourselves so much that it's just kind of like, okay, I didn't really have to do this in that time. A comparison that one of my sisters talks about all the time. So both of my sisters, I think it took both of them 5 years to finish their undergraduate degree. It took me 3. So our motivations were very different with what we were each working towards in those moments. So my dad, this one particular time, he asked one of the sisters, he was like, why is it taking you 5 years to finish this degree? Shanetta finished her degree in 3 years. And her only comeback to that was, well, we ain't all Shanetta. So like, we can't, whatever. Don't nobody care what she did. And that was the best she had in that moment. But the truth is that they made changes in their career paths while they were in school, which added more time. They did traditional seasons of school where they just did normal stuff. I didn't do normal stuff. I didn't make any changes in my career path. Plus, I went to school in the summers, like everybody else on vacation going to beaches, and I'm in classes, and like 3 of them, like as many as they'll let me take in the summertime. So me finishing my degree in 3 years and them finishing in 5 is really the same amount of time. It's just the way we did it. But that was a time in my life where I also didn't have grace on myself. And I was very hard and pushing towards this. I got to get this done. I got to get this done. I got to get this done for my own reasons. Whereas they were allowed to live in a little bit more grace because they felt like, okay, I have time. I can do this. And I was giving that story to my daughter recently and telling her that it's okay to take a little bit longer. And I was even telling her, it's okay that if you and your younger brother end up graduating the same year, nobody cares. Like when you're 10 years into your career, that doesn't matter. As long as those graduations don't end up on the same day and we have to make hard choices, we're fine. Everything is fine. And I think that that's what we have. And I want my daughter to learn that earlier than I did, to have grace on yourself. It's okay. Things are hard sometimes. Things change sometimes and they don't go the way you plan them all the time. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. You can, your motivation, you get it back going where you can, but get back in the game. As long as you don't stay down, you just got to dust it off and say, okay, where are we going from here? Where do we go next?
Gotcha. So is there a finish line? Is there a finish line to the drive, to the motivation? Is there a point where you're like, okay, I've done it.
I've arrived.
Yeah, whatever.
Not for me. I think that once you've arrived at one place, it's like time to reset for the next place.
Okay. Trina?
There's always going to be something else. There's always going to be something else to accomplish, something else, some other goal, and I think we're wired that way to, keep going. I mean, and I think there's some times in your life where there's a whole bunch to accomplish. And then there's other times when there's, okay, there's small things you might want to do. So no, I don't think you're ever even if you retire, then at that point it's going to be like, okay, so maybe I want to travel and see the world. Now you're going to be checking off countries off your list. It's always going to be something, something you want to do or accomplish.
Okay. And since all of y'all kids are adults, how have you inspired or put those things into your kids, like their drive, or help them to find out what drives them or influence them? Trina?
I don't know. I kind of feel like, I don't know, it seems like they already had it. Okay. I don't know that I put it in them. It just seems like they kind of already had their own thing that made them want to do what they wanted to do. Although I will say, when Tyson was younger, when he first maybe like second and third grade, he was just like whatever with his grades. But then when he saw Jakai coming home with all these certificates and accomplishments, since he's so competitive, that drove him to do better in school, because he wanted to be like, I can have A's too, type. I can get certificates. I could be on the honor roll too, just because he wanted to compete with her. And I'm like, fine, feel free to compete. It works. And he started bringing home A's, So, I mean, I just feel like I didn't really have a lot of, I don't know. It's just something, I don't know whether it's innate, like it's just innate in them, or they just saw me constantly doing and they fell in line. I don't know. I don't feel like I had to like give them drive. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Okay. Shanetta?
I think I've had many multiple personalities in my kid group, because they are an interesting bunch. You've never
Absolutely.
They are an interesting bunch. So each one required different things, which made parenting them, looking back on it in retrospect, so much fun. But at the same time, in the midst of it, when we were in the heat of a whole lot of like bringing them up, it was like a 3-ring circus, because it was just like trying to everything but a nightly meal would be a 3-ring circus, because mealtime, it was like you eat whatever I cook and be happy about it. But everything else was just like, it really was like, it was a lot going on. But for each of them, I think one of the biggest things that we did with them was make them set goals. Goal setting was a really big deal for me. Like, you have to be able to see where you're trying to get to, and then I need you to and why you want to get there. And now I need you to make a plan to get there. So how are you going to do that? My daughter was maybe in 1st or 2nd grade when she said she wanted to be a vet. Every year it was like this push to, okay, you say this is what you want to do, you have to pay attention to this. You said this is what you want to do, but look at what you're doing right here. This impacts that. And she knew that. And so each year the motivation will be centered around, and you can change your mind at any time. She hasn't as of yet. She's in college to be a vet. She liked playing with the cows and the horses at school right now. You're talking about she be in her dorm room, she can hear the cows over at the and
I think you froze. All right. Well, honestly, just being able to hold on to, what you say you want to be as a kid, and then, make it to adulthood and not change your mind, that takes an incredible amount of dedication and focus. Because I know just listening or watching kids grow up, like I've seen kids go from one thing to the next quite a bit. So shout out to Queenie. That's an amazing task to be able to keep steady on that goal, like all the way up.
The teacher like, did you go over there and check?
I don't know what. Okay, I think you're back.
Oh, okay. Hello again. The Wi-Fi over here was being a little weird. Don't know why.
Oh, yeah, you're back. So I was just saying, it's a big accomplishment to be able to hold on to what you want to be as a kid all the way to adulthood. Not a lot of people, not a lot of kids, do that. Not a lot of people can say, as long as I know this is what I wanted to be, and I held on to that, like, my whole life. That's an accomplishment.
Yeah.
She's
the only one in our bunch that has done that. Everybody else has been 15 different things. I had one kid, he told us one year he wanted to be a race car driver. And he was like 8. And so my sister was like, well, why do you want to be a race car driver? He was like, because you don't have to read to be a race car driver. And so we spent 2 years trying to convince him that race car drivers actually had to learn to read first. So that was fun. But his motivation and his drive was not having to read. So welcome to my house.
Hey, that's a boy answer. He's a boy. Boys, that is definitely a boy answer. That's funny though. Okay, so like I said in the beginning, we wanted to just talk about the topic a little bit, share some. Again, it does go in line with it being the U.S. Open and Serena actually retiring. She's made a lot of references to, now she has a family, so like her drive is different. Now her drive is to be a good mom, to be a present mom. So she's stepping away from the court. Her daughter is a big influence. I mean, she was in the sidelines and you could see her just hollering, taking pictures. It's the cutest thing. And of course, our kids, they sometimes drive us crazy, but they also, drive us probably to do more and be better than, I'm not going to say that than I'm going to say maybe than we knew we could be. Sometimes, when you have kids and they're dependent on you, you'll go further than you even think you're capable of going because, those little people are, depending on you. So whatever your drive is, whatever's driving you, whatever's influencing you, hold on to that. It might change. Sometimes you might have to reach up under all the stuff and dig it out and shake it out and remind yourself of your why or your who you're doing it for. I think it was Shanetta that said, sometimes it changes. Seasons change, your reasons change. Like these lovely ladies, they have adult children now. Some in college, some all the way adult. So their reasons change. It's still their children, but just in a different, a different form. Unlike me, still have little people that are looking at me every day. So like, when seasons change, your reasons and your influences can change. Don't be afraid to change. Don't be afraid of the change. And if anything, don't be afraid of the change and stick with it. Stick with it. Like they said, there's no finish line. Just got to keep going. That is the reality. You just got to keep going. For how long? Keep going. How far? Keep going. You just got to keep pushing, keep going. So again, we're on here every Thursday at 8 p.m. We thank you so much for joining us. So until next week, stay safe.